Hi folks, hope you are doing well. Today we're going to talk about compound interest. Last week we did simple interest. So compound interest means that you are getting interest on your interest. So if you had $100 at 10% for 1 year, then you would earn $10. But then you have $110 in the bank. And think, what is 10% of $110? That's $11. So then you have $121 in the bank. So you're earning interest on the interest, not just the same $100 over and over and over. So we're doing compound interest, and you can compound interest over different time periods, and we'll talk about those. So first, let's look at the compound interest formula. It looks kind of bad, but it's not so bad. Accumulated amount, sometimes people call that the future value. It's how much you end up with at the end. Principal, how much we start with. R is your interest rate. Make sure you enter that as a decimal. N is the number of compounding periods per year. And T is our time in years. Okay, so let's look at these different compounding periods. So if you compound yearly, then N would be 1. Quarterly, 4 times a year. You could do monthly, 12 times a year. Weekly, 52 times a year. Daily, 365 days a year. Banks also use compounding interest called continuous interest, but that's not part of today's lesson. So I hope you printed these notes, and if you print them, we can go along with this together, and I'll work it, and then you can work it at the same time. Okay, let's say that we invest $100 in the bank, a bank account that pays 2.1% interest compounded monthly. At the end of 4 years, how much would we have? Okay, so we're going to use this formula here. Okay, so let's write down everything we know. What we don't know is the accumulated amount. We know our principal. We know our interest rate as a decimal. We know the number of years, and it's compounded monthly. Okay, so take just a minute, write that down, put it in the formula. You can stop the video for just a moment. I'll put it in my formula, and then get your calculator and we'll calculate this together. So I hope you had time to plug everything into your formula. So we have the principal, and then the 1 plus the interest rate. What that does for you is the 1 keeps the same amount that you have, plus you are earning interest. And if it were just earning interest 1 time a year, it'd be 1 plus that interest. But since it's 12 times a year, we have to divide that out by 12, and then we're raising it to the number of time periods, which is N times T. So I went ahead and just multiplied 4 times 12 and put 48. Okay, so you have to be sort of careful entering things on your calculator. Whoops, I lost mine. Do not round anything off until you get to the very, very end. And you can type it in all at one time. Okay, so I'm going to give that a go. 1,000 times parentheses 1 plus the 0.021 over 12. Your calculator knows the order of operation, so it knows to divide that and then add the 1. Then it's going to raise it to the 48th power, get that answer, and multiply it by 1,000. Okay, so since this is money, you don't want to have a whole bunch of decimal places. But since it's money, what we can do is just round it off to the nearest penny. So $1,080.549, we'll call that 55 cents. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, Let's do a second problem. How much interest would be earned at the end of 3 years on a deposit of $12,500 in an account that pays 2.25%, interesting, compounded weekly? I'll just go ahead and tell you. When I was in high school, I dropped out of typing because I could not type 38 words a minute. That's what was required for an A. So typing is just not my thing. Here we go. Accumulated amount, we don't know. We do know our principal, 12,500. 1, that means we're keeping the same amount we have, plus our interest rate as a decimal. So you've moved that 2 places, divided by the number of compounding periods weekly. So that's 52, and then we're going to raise it to the number of periods times the year. And so that would be whatever 52 times 3 is, so that's 156. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, 12,500 parentheses 1 plus 0.0225 over 52 raised to the, and you can put 52 times 3, but I usually just go ahead and multiply it out. So 3 times 50 is 150, 3 times 6 is 6, so that's 106. So that gives us $13,086.54. So if you wanted to know how much you made, 13,086.54, and then we can subtract the 12,500. So you earned $586.54 interest. Okay, so ready to do one more. Okay, let's look at this problem and pick out all of our variables, and let's do that first. Okay, so here we got it. We don't know how much money we're going to end up with it at the end. We do know our principal's $4,000, rate as a decimal, annual, so that's just one time, and then we're doing this for 4 years. Okay, so go ahead and get that in your calculator. Let's see what we come up with. Maybe we're going to stop the video for just a moment, let you work it, and then we will check your answer.